Just as people are gradually recovering from the bloody Kano twin blast anchored by female bombers during the Sadler holidays, again, the city is hit with another bomb, this time killing 6 people as work resumes. This is also confirmed by the National Information Center in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, which says a female suicide bomber again disguised among students of Kano State Polytechnic who were on queue to collect their call-up letters for National Youth Service Corps.
This afternoon at about 2:30 p.m., another female suicide bomber exploded an improvised explosive device at the Kano State Polytechnic, where some students, final year students, or those who had completed, had gone for the collection of their call-up letters for the National Youth Service. So far, about 6 persons were reported killed, just as 6 others reported to have sustained injuries and were rushed to the hospital.
They take advantage of the fact that women raise fewer suspicion to try to indoctrinate and recruit female suicide bombers. The suspicion even become much lesser if the woman in question is a minor.
The Kano blast may have prompted the security checks at other parts of the country. At the Idoesin-Kanga Secretariat in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, the south-south region of Nigeria, workers returning to work after the Salah holidays and visitors to the Secretariat are subjected to thorough security checks. The southeast region is more calm as workers and business owners return to their work booths. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
Well, 16 minutes to 8, Mr. Latuboson Abalarima, a security consultant, joins us now to shed some light to talk about what's going on. Morning.
Good morning.
But unfortunately, this is what we've got in our hands now, and it's taking a different dimension, using females to carry out these activities, and even minors, as we heard there. And all these kind of things, what's your perspective on this, first of all? Because there are those who thought, well, we didn't see this coming. But there may be others who said, well, from our analysis, having followed the trend, we expect anything.
Well, firstly, I would like to condole with the family of those who have lost their lives in all series of attacks we're having all over the country. I pray that God will be with them and grant them the grace to be able to go through this period. If you go through my previous interviews, you will agree with me that none of this should be surprising. I have mentioned it before that it's going to get worse. Why did I say that? It's not as if I'm a prophet of doom, but if you study terrorism and its trend all over the world, there is nothing happening in Nigeria now that has not happened somewhere else in the world. It is sad to hear that a 10-year-old is laced with explosives to cause death. It is sad to hear that there are some people indoctrinating children, starting from primary school up to tertiary institution. Another sad aspect of it is that what are the government doing to indoctrinate the society at large to counter it? There are 2 things you do against terrorism. One is to counter terrorism. Another thing is to go anti-terrorism. The anti-terrorism aspect of the operation is something that law enforcement people do, while counter-terrorism is everybody's responsibility. Now, the counter-terrorism initiative of the government at the moment can be rated as 10%, and that we are almost 6 to 7 years backward in our fight against terrorism. We cannot continue to pretend or to assume or believe that it is the law enforcement agencies that are going to deal with this or solve it. It is never done like that. Until the government takes an active step, the type of step we take when election is coming, telling everybody that it is your responsibility to vote to choose the right government. The same type of initiative we take when we want to do population head counting, telling everybody that it is your responsibility to make sure that you are counted so that government can provide for you. We should bring that back and try and indoctrinate everybody. Almost heads of securities, every head of securities in Nigeria have mentioned that it's a mindset thing, mindset of certain people doing certain things. Then I think it's time to start working off mindset of those who don't want to do bad things. Yourself, myself, people working in the hospitals, members of your transport workers, all arms of government. Have we succeeded in indoctrinating them? Do we know exactly what to do in this type of situation? Look at Ebola now. Ebola spread came out, and almost everybody, even up to 5 years old, knows what Ebola is all about. Thank God it's during the holiday period. But I've had children saying it, asking me questions all over the places. They're not asking the same question about terrorism. And not only human beings can be used as suicide bomber, animals can be used as suicide bombers. It has happened. Dogs can be laced with explosive. Camels, donkeys, birds. Anything can be used to carry bomb.
They're going to have to suit them up so that we won't see the explosives.
Well, sometimes those who want to cause havoc have their ways. They go for training too, and they're able to do it. What I don't want us to see is our terrorists in Nigeria to start shooting down passengers' plane, because looking at what their capability at the moment and the type of weapons available to them, almost every leaders in the country have assumed, even including Mr. President, that this is beginning to look like a civil war. We saw the effect of civil war that is happening between Ukraine and in the Ukraine now, that it has led to the loss of innocent lives. And I hope we will not get to that in Nigeria before we wake up and start doing the right thing.
Tell us more on counter-terrorism, because now you just put it on the table and you said, well, it's 10%. That's pretty poor in your own assessment. And it would seem as if nothing has been done, because we have seen the efforts of government. But in your definition of counter-terrorism, perhaps that is why you have scored them low. What do you mean when you say counter-terrorism should also involve the citizenry?
It should be the citizen's responsibility
Totally.
to counter. Totally. The citizen, that includes law enforcement. Don't forget, they are also part of the general public. That is the army, the navy, the air force, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighter, the police. Yourself and myself, we are part of the general public. What I'm just trying to say to the government is that it is time. Now is the time, not later. Although it's a little bit late, but not too late, for us to start taking a step in the right direction on how to indoctrinate the general public in our effort in fighting insecurity. I've always said that terrorism is not the only security problem we have in Nigeria. There are other issues affecting security of lives and properties. And if we are able to solve terrorism today, does not necessarily mean that is the end of security problem. If we start taking the right step to counter terrorism today, we're going to end up creating a long-lasting mindset in the heart of the general public.
Let's talk about the steps now.
Okay.
So, as an expert, and you have already seen what we're going through, #Kano, a new form of violence being unleashed in that once peaceful town of Kano, and female suicide bombers, young children. How would you want the people to go about sorting this out if you say counter-terrorism is strictly about the citizens?
All right. The general orientation of an average Nigerian towards security of life and property is zero at the moment. I don't know what you have done to counter terrorism on your way to work this morning. I don't know if you are worried when a cart pusher on the traffic push it beside you. I don't know if you are worried on the way to your studio this morning when you saw boxes left by artisans beside the road and wondering, is there anything inside it? You see, there are 3 tiers of the general public. We have the organizational, we have the general public, and we have the personal. The organizational involves yourself, government wings, and everybody. They are easy to coordinate. One email, one signal from the force headquarters, one signal through the army, through the Air Force, asking everybody to do 1, 2, 3 on your way to work this morning. 1, 2, 3 on your way back home this morning. Receiving an alert on your phone. Receiving a warning or advert or jingle before the network news and after it. And all the soap program we're watching. Running a terrorism awareness program through our churches, through our schools, through various organizations will go a long way in changing the mindset of the people. Majority of Nigeria today don't believe there is a problem with terrorism until a bomb explodes or there's a bomb scare near them. People still want to throw party as usual. People still want to rent utility, or people still want to go to the stadium. But it's no longer business as usual when we have people who are willing to travel as far as possible to cause mayhem. Nothing has been done to put a stop to that now. What are we doing? Do we know how many other suicide bombers? Do we know how many suicide bombers are set?
Are you saying people should put a stop to their lives? Or some
I'm not
some
saying,
people actually put in security measures.
Let me also remind you,